Hello and welcome back to the Iantha Branch YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at 3 sources that are available online and are really good for doing prototype research for all your railroading and model railroading needs. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to download Google Earth Pro for desktop in order to get the best experience. They do offer a web browser version now, but my personal preference is the desktop version. So you do have to be using Google Chrome in order to download it. But go to the first link that is provided in the comment section. It'll take you right to this web page. And then if you just scroll down to the bottom, you can download Google Earth Pro for desktop. And just go through their instructions, and once it is set up, you are ready to continue. Okay, now that you have Google Earth Pro set up on your computer, the next step is going to be to download some railroad maps. This is the place that I have been getting my railroad maps from, and there will be a link for it down in the description. The great thing about this website is not only do they have a comprehensive map of the entire United States, they have a few different ways of categorizing and separating their map overlays that can make it easier to narrow in on your research area. So when you first come into the website, they have individual railroad maps sorted alphabetically by name, and for the most part these are going to be more known railroads, but before most of the mergers took place. For example, you're not going to find Seaboard Coastline as a combined file. You'll find the Atlantic Coastline and the Seaboard Airline as separate files. In addition to individual railroads, they have the entire alphabetical list as 4 files, separated into different groups just to keep the files from being too large. And then if you want a little bit different view than that, they also have the railroads sorted by state. If you're looking at a certain city in particular, you can check the box for a certain state and it'll show you all the railroads in that area instead of just the individual railroads that you can find up here. Okay, so now that we have Google Earth Pro downloaded to our computer and some railroad maps downloaded, it's time to open them into Google Earth. So I like to keep a handful of my commonly used files saved in Google Earth for quicker access, but today I'm going to open up a map for Illinois as a demonstration. So first you'll want to come up here to the top left corner to File, and then Open. And then you're going to want to pick the map you want to open, in this case Illinois. Open that, and we'll give it a few seconds to load in. And voila, we have the entire railroad state map of Illinois. Now, when you first load a file into Google Earth, it will appear down here in temporary places. The next thing you're going to want to do is create some folders up in My Places. So for my overlays, I have separate folders for by railroad section and by state. So I'll just take Illinois here, drag it up to the by state section where it will appear. And then the next step is to go back up to File and then to Save and Save My Places. And when you click that, the file you just opened will always be available in My Places. Okay, now that we have downloaded some files and loaded them into Google Earth, we are free to move about the country and explore whatever rail scene it is that you're interested in learning more about. And now it's time to move on to our next source of material. Okay, I have another resource here that I would like to share real quick. It is called historicareals.com, and it works very similar to Google Maps and Google Earth, except it has some additional resources loaded into it. So, for example, let's say you're in Google Earth and you're looking at the Frisco's operations in Kansas City. You can see the Frisco main line came through Rosedale, Kansas here, And you know, there was a yard here at one time, but none of the Google Earth pictures go back far enough to show it. So we can move back over to this resource, and we can go to Rosedale, Kansas in the search bar here. And when it first loads up, it will give you a generic atlas type view. And from there, you can come over here to this left-hand toolbar, and you can choose between old aerial photos. And in this spot particular, you can go back as far as 1955. And if you just click on that and give it a second, it will load up a nice overhead shot for you. And the unfortunate side of some of these older photos is they are pretty grainy, so it's hard to see a lot of detail in some of those photos. So that's why the other section in the topographical maps is also pretty handy. And again, you have a selection of dates, and in this particular spot it goes back as far as 1935. I find some of the newer maps are easier to read though, and so you can come over to 1976 and you have a pretty good diagram of the Frisco's Rosedale yard here in the Kansas City area. And this is just of course a quick example of how you can use this tool as a way of researching your particular interest in a railroad scene. As always, thank you for watching today's video. I hope this is a good starting point for your research purposes. I intend to show some more specific examples in a later video when it comes to researching a particular prototype. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like as it helps out my channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you receive notifications whenever I upload the next video.